So today's Saturday. We're going on a date. I'm just sitting on Braxton's rocking chair. Jonathan's in the shower. Usually when we go out, he's always waiting for me, but I just get ready really fast now. I did my makeup. My eyes are kind of swollen because I was crying a lot today, but oh, and I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I'm gonna just try to enjoy our date and not cry for the rest of the day. I went to a support group earlier today. I had to go by myself because Jonathan worked today, but yeah. Hi everybody, welcome back to another video.
Hello.
I have Jonathan here today, obviously, as you can see. As you can tell from the title of this video, we just kind of wanted to do like a recap of last year. Those of you who have been following my channel know that our son Braxton passed away in September last year. And then, you know, 2 months later, the holidays started coming around and we both really didn't know what to do or how we were going to get through them. And I think both of us wish we would have had a video like this last year. So we kind of just want to share with you guys what we did, what helped us, and hopefully it will be helpful for you as well. Okay, so I just wrote some things down on my phone. I was just trying to kind of like remember everything that we did last year. The first thing that I wrote down was to talk to your family and let them know what your plans are. That way there's no expectations, I guess, from either side, from them or from you. Oh, I also want to say that these are just things that work for us. We're not like professional counselors or anything like that, but we're kind of just like talking from our own experience. And everyone grieves different. Maybe some people wouldn't have done things our way. Maybe it works for other people, but this is just what worked for us. So we decided to just skip the holidays, and my family lives closer to us and we usually get together for the holidays. So I let my parents and my brother know that I didn't want to do anything traditional. I didn't want to do Thanksgiving dinner. I did not want to see a turkey. I didn't want to sit around and talk about what I was thankful for. You know, when your baby dies and then Thanksgiving comes around, the last thing you want to do is try to sit down and talk about what you're thankful for.
Yeah, I think so Braxton passed away in September, and then obviously Thanksgiving was well, Halloween was technically kind of the holiday spirit, the first holiday spirit. But then when Thanksgiving rolled around, that was the time when everyone wanted to get together and, you know, talk about what they were thankful for. And I mean, we never really sugarcoated anything. We were pretty honest about how we felt about things. And if, you know, when you're waiting months and months for your son to arrive and then he passes away, you literally feel like you lost everything, and that there's not a whole lot to be thankful for or a whole lot to live for. So we really wanted to kind of avoid any type of festivities, because those are the types of things you do with your baby, and things that you do that we would have done with Braxton. So we kind of wanted to
avoid that.
Leapfrog the holidays.
We pictured Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas last year to be completely different, obviously. Like, we pictured to have Braxton here on Halloween and dress him up, and to like get together on Thanksgiving, and that was going to be his first Thanksgiving. And so we didn't want to put ourselves in a situation where we're just overwhelmed. Well,
I mean, I think it's difficult to be put in a room with people that have incongruent emotions and incongruent, I guess, feelings as opposed to what you're going through, because it's, once again, it's about everyone, you know, being festive and being thankful, and that was that time of year, and we were on the complete opposite end of the spectrum where we didn't feel that way. So we weren't going to be put ourselves in a situation to where we had to put on a show and act like we were happy and act like we were thankful. Instead, we kind of displaced ourselves from those situations and created our own, I guess, environment, so that we could go at our own pace, rather than feel like someone was forcing us to be thankful, because we know that we would have been put in situations to where we'd be at a Thanksgiving table and we know someone probably would have said, well, you do have a lot to be thankful for, when that just doesn't.
We did not want to hear that last year.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the reality of the matter is like, we went through a traumatic situation. Specifically, Felly went through a traumatic situation of giving birth, and then, you know, we both lost Braxton, and so only less than 60 days later, it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Or less than 90 days later, it was Thanksgiving. And so we were still stuck in that situation. And that's part of trauma in general, is that you're still stuck in that particular traumatic event. And then we're also dealing with the emotions of actually losing, our son. It wasn't that we had gone through something, it was that we had gone through something and then we also lost our son and we'll never get him back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think I don't like to assume what other people think, but I think a lot of people don't realize that there's actual trauma. And it's not say, oh, I was traumatized. We're not saying it lightly. This is actual trauma. And when you go through actual trauma of stillbirth and losing your child before they're ever born, and then having to give birth to the child and having to go through that process and then a funeral, like, people don't realize how traumatic that is. That's actually traumatic. And then it puts you in a depressive mood, depression.
Yeah.
And so, like, I always felt like passerbys and people that weren't going through it, i.e. everybody besides me and Felly, most people didn't realize that we were actually traumatized and we were depressed. And, we felt like if we were to go to Thanksgiving or Christmas and do all these festivities, that people would try to sugarcoat our depression and our trauma.
Or try to look for, like, what is it called? The silver lining.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, not to get off on a tangent, but I think a lot of people that would come around us, the human spirit or the way we work is that we want to feel like we're getting things accomplished. And I felt like when people came around us, they couldn't accomplish anything. So then I felt like that was also like a deterrent that kept people away, is that when they came around us, we're like, no, there's nothing positive. There's nothing motivating about what we went through.
Yeah.
And that this is just what we have right now and what we're going to have forever. And then so I kind of felt like people quit coming around because they felt like they couldn't accomplish getting us through it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, they failed at getting us through it. And when the reality was that no one was going to say anything or do anything that was going to push us any faster through grief than what we were going through ourselves.
Yeah. So for Thanksgiving, what we ended up doing was going to Yosemite. It's a national park in California. I feel like kind of fortunate that my family was like really understanding, and when Braxton passed away, it was really hard for my mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister-in-law also. So they were kind of like on the same page with us. My brother and my sister-in-law went with us to Yosemite, and then I was trying to just avoid my phone and social media because right away I knew people were gonna start posting like pictures of their babies and saying like they were so thankful to have their baby this year. And inside I just felt like, why is that not me? That should be me this year. And it was just like, it was too hard for me to deal with that. So on Thanksgiving Day, me and him went hiking, and we kind of just, I don't know, we were in our own little world, and being out there in the woods by ourselves did not remind me of Thanksgiving at all. So that really worked for us, just being outside in nature, being away from our phones, going hiking, getting fresh air, and just being by ourselves. So the next thing that I wrote down was a journal to write to your baby. So that's something that saved me last year. I started writing to Braxton, I think the very next day after he passed away. And I just kept a journal and I would write to him almost every single day. I wrote to him on Halloween, on Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's. That was the only way that I felt like actually like communicating with him, because I would still feel weird talking out loud to him unless I was just completely by myself. And I would go in his nursery and just, talk to him. But keeping a journal and writing to him really helped me.
I remember like when you were writing in the journal, and like, I guess like I wanted to make sure like I was like fully aware, not fully aware, but like I couldn't imagine like the pain that you were going through. And then I remember trying to like, I guess, get into the feelings that you were feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go back after she would write, and like sometimes like you were at work or something like that, but I would go back and read the journal. I'd read the notes, and like I could, like word for word, I could feel what Felly was feeling because of the letters that she wrote Braxton.
I still, like, if I read them now, it just, like, makes me cry so much. Because even when I read them now, like, I feel, like you said, like, I feel exactly the same way I felt back then. And back then, I didn't want to feel like that. Like, I just wanted to feel better. And now, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, we were talking about this, that when Breeze is here, she's smiling. When we kind of like put ourselves in that like mindset or like in those emotions, it makes us feel closer to Braxton. Yeah, sometimes I'll go back now, like when I just want to feel like, and also what I think too it is that back when I wrote that, it was like so close to when we actually saw Braxton, and now we're like almost a year and a half away from the last time we saw him. You know what I mean? So I think like reading what I wrote right after he passed away kind of makes me feel closer to that period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing that I wrote down was to do something special for your baby. So what I ended up doing, first we were like just not going to have any Christmas decorations at all. And then I started thinking, you know what, it's still Braxton's first Christmas. That's not fair to him for us not to at least get him a little tree. So I remember last year for Christmas, Braxton would have been 3 months old, and I looked up how tall is a 3-month-old baby, and it said the baby would be about 24 inches tall. So I went and I searched for a tree that was 24 inches tall. So I made little ornaments, and I just wrote down names of other angel babies that at the time I was just really close to their moms, and I was talking to them every day. And that's something else that really helped me survive, was talking to other moms who were going through it too. Yeah, so we have an area this is Braxton's urn, and we always keep his area decorated based on whatever holiday or season it is. So Frieza wanted to be in the video also, so now the 4 of us are here. Yeah, so we were saying about Braxton's tree, that's what we did last year, and that's what I've been doing pretty much every holiday, is just decorating his little area. It was something else that I did, and I'll link the video down below. It was, it's called My First Christmas Without My Son, I think, but I did something called the Stocking Project. So I posted it on my Instagram, and I'll post a picture here. Maybe I'll just put it like on the screen right now. But basically what I did is I asked people to send us cards, or send cards to Braxton, because it was nice to see like his name and then our address, because you know Braxton is not here and we're never really gonna get any mail that's like written out to him. So that was really nice. And then on Christmas Day, I took all of his cards out of the stocking and I read them to him. So, yeah, the stocking project, I'm really glad we did that last year. Yeah, and then the last thing that I put on my list was, I wrote puzzles, but it's kind of like just things that I did to like zone out. So I did like puzzles. I painted ornaments, remember? I painted
ornaments. You did Postmates.
Oh, I did Postmates. Nobody knows this, but last year I did Postmates, and I made these like little goodie bags. It was like a random act of kindness, but I wrote down like just a Christmas greeting, and I said like in honor of my son Braxton, who was born sleeping on September 12th, and I handed those out to people, and I also linked my Instagram to those, because at the time I didn't really have anyone on YouTube like I do now. So now I feel that like people know Braxton. But at the time, all I wanted to do was get Braxton's name out there, because obviously he wasn't with us. Nobody could see him. So I felt like everyone was going to forget about him. So I wanted to like just leave his name everywhere so everyone could know about him.
One thing I did, we didn't talk about this, but one thing I did was I bought a drone.
Oh, that's right.
That's when I first started like doing drone shots and whatnot. But I got a GoPro drone. Don't ever buy a GoPro drone. And we were in Santa Monica at the pier. Luckily, we were
on the sand.
Yeah, we were on the sand, and it was at night. But it lost power about 40 feet in the air. And this GoPro drones are like very, very, very big. Anyways, it just lost power about 40 feet in the air and just fell down and hit the ground and broke. Anyways, I sent it back to GoPro. They gave me a refund, and then I got a different brand. But I started doing a lot of drone stuff to take my mind off it. And we would go to the beach together, and Felly would watch me like fly the drone.
Yeah, so we kind of like started doing like different hobbies to keep ourselves busy. But yeah, that's when he started doing his drone shots, and then I'm gonna insert clips of our Yosemite trip, either like in the beginning or the end, but that was when you did like the video with the GoPro, and we kind of like, that was when we started getting into like doing videos and stuff like that.
Moral of the story is, for the holidays, don't go at your own pace. If you feel like you have to bypass the holidays, bypass the holidays. Felly said if you feel like you need to disconnect from social media and not look at your Facebook or your Instagram, that's completely fine. I mean, I think that a lot of parents that go through this, they want to also avoid those situations and pick up whenever they decide to pick up again, and be social whenever you want to be social again. I had friends try to invite me over for Thanksgiving, and they thought they were doing, and they were doing it because they wanted to include me, make sure I knew that I had friends and whatnot. But it was just too soon, and so that's when we decided to go to Yosemite.
So now I want to talk about how you can help someone else who's grieving, because I do get messages sometimes of friends or family members, and they want to know how to help someone who just lost their baby or someone who's grieving. The first thing that I want to say is, a lot of people do this where they reach out and they say, I'm thinking about you, let me know if you need anything. So the thought is really nice, but honestly, if someone is depressed and they're grieving, they're not going to tell you, and like, they're not going to reach out and say like, hey, yeah, I would like a home cooked meal, or I would like for you to come over and spend time with me to talk about my baby. They're not going to flat out come out and say that to you. Maybe, but I know we weren't in that headspace.
People are not going to, so we were talking about this earlier, and I talked about this the entire time, because we pretty much get the same, I guess, stereotypical responses, which, I mean, we're not being critical of anyone, and we understand that a lot of people don't know what to do. But I guess when, you want the closest people to you in your life, you want them to be the assertive ones, and you want them to be the ones that are going to, ride these waves with you. And so I think the misconception of a lot of people is that, quote unquote, you want privacy during these times. And the thing is if the entire world gave us privacy, we would have no support system. And if someone, if there's family members or friends of people that are going through this right now, the best thing to like ask yourself is just say, hey, well, would a person that has gone through trauma and that is depressed, would they reach out to me? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
I mean, this is when people like us need friends and family that are more assertive and make statement. Either they just show up or they say, hey, I'm going to come over. I'm going to come over. Like, that's what you really want your closest friends. And I was always very rational about it, and I knew that no one could do anything or say anything that would solve what we were feeling. The times that I felt great were the times when people didn't say anything, and they were just there, present in front of us, and you could just talk about what we were going through, and they didn't have to. And a lot of times when I found myself having therapy with my friends, they didn't say anything. I was just like talking about what I was going through. And then after those 30 or 45 minutes or an hour or hour and a half, I found out that I felt so much better and that they didn't say anything to me.
By just having someone there to listen. Like, they don't even have to say anything to you. But yeah, like we said, someone who's grieving or someone who's depressed is not going to pick up the phone and call their friends or family and say, I need you to come over, or I need this, I need groceries, I need dinner, anything like that. I need help with my laundry. My best friend would come over. I never called her. I don't think I called her once to tell her that I needed her to come over. She would just, text me and say, hey, can I come and bring you lunch? And I would say, yeah. So maybe things that are kind of like more direct like that are more helpful to someone who's grieving, as opposed to just waiting for them to reach out to you when they need something, because chances are they're probably not going to reach out to you. Something else that's really special, something that you could do that would really brighten up their day is around the holidays or just any time, is to give them something that has their baby's name on it, or anything kind of like related to that. Like, I remember our friends gave us like the angel that was holding the baby, and then our other friend gave us this figurine of a couple, and they were like holding the baby bump. Some friends and family sent me like necklaces with an elephant on it, something with Braxton's name. All of that just was so special and really would help me get through my days.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's nothing specific that someone can do to like solve how we were feeling, but one thing that made us feel better is people acknowledging it And there were some, I mean, we get it, like a lot of people don't know what to do, but when people would passively say Braxton's name, like in a sentence, and like just keep moving on in the sentence, like that just like would make us feel really good. Like, oh, well, you recognize Braxton as a human when he existed when that's what we felt like we were like trying to explain to everyone from day one. And I know that like a lot of people sent us, like I had friends from high school that I hadn't talked to in years that like we just follow each other on Facebook, and they found out what happened and they sent us cards with Braxton's name on it. I mean, there was a handful of my friends that I hadn't talked to in over 16 years directly. And then you come to find out that some people that I went to high school with that just follow on Facebook, they've had a stillbirth. And those types of people were like, oh, like, wow, like you also went through it. So you do know what I'm feeling. You know what I mean? So those are like just some general thoughts.
And people that he grew up with that I've never even met before sent me cards and necklaces, different things. So that meant so much to me that, you know, someone who I've never even met took the time out of their day to think about my son and, you know, just to check in on us. That was really special.
You know, we decorated Braxton's room with some elephant stuff. So elephants are always something that we think about with Braxton, but a lot of people would send us just elephant figurines.
Yeah,
you know,
anything to do with elephants. So the last thing that I wrote on my list, healing embrace or Molly bears. Well, they don't sell these actually. I think you can just make a donation. But what it is, this is Braxton bear. We have them ready for Christmas. They make bears and they're weighted to weigh as much as your baby weighed when they were born. So this one weighs 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Yeah. So if you know someone who has just experienced a loss, that would be a really amazing gift that you can give to them. I remember right after Braxton passed away, I didn't have this one, but I had this little teddy bear. It said my first bear. That was going to be like Braxton's first bear, you know. And I would take that one everywhere with us. Like if we would go out of town, I took it and his blanket. And I would swaddle the bear every morning. And I couldn't sleep without it. So I just like wanted something to hold because, you know, Braxton was supposed to be here in my arms and I didn't have him. So now it's nice to just kind of like have this one and cuddle and to think of Braxton when we do things like that. So that's everything for today's video. I really hope that this is helpful to some of you, either if you're just experience a loss or if you know someone who's grieving. I hope this video can help you all. Leave a comment and let us know something that someone did to help you when you were grieving, or maybe if you did something nice for someone else. That way we can all kind of like read the comments and talk to each other, and we can get ideas of how to help other people. Following this, we're gonna just insert some clips that I don't think I've ever shared them before, but just kind of like some footage from last year, the holidays, when we went to Yosemite and Braxton's tree last year at Christmas. So I hope you guys enjoyed that and kind of get like a glimpse of, you know, what we were going through back then. Yeah, so that's it for today's video. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching and we'll see you all in our next video.
See ya.